Should you hold, flip, or dump? BRC20 edition. TRAC, ORDI.com. Welcome back, my name is Stan, I'm the CEO co-founder of a custom international software development company. We build software for the city of New York, SAP and General Electric. I've done more than $15 million in custom software sales, and on this channel I'm sharing my journey on turning $500,000 into $10 million in crypto. In this video we will talk about 3 tokens and my thought process and decision making in terms of whether I would be holding, dumping or flipping one of them. So with one of them I will tell you if I will hold it. With the second one I will tell you I would probably flip it, and the last one, the third one, I will probably dump it. We have 3 tokens, BRC20 specifically, TRAC, ORDI and .com, and I will share my opinions on these 3 tokens and what I think you should do with them at this stage. So let's start with ORDI. One of the main issues with ORDI is that it's a meme token, and it's a meme token that no one basically knows about because it's on BRC20. The reason it's a meme token is because there are no things happening in terms of the development and in terms of the engineering and things like that. And you might ask why something like Pepe that has a bunch of people essentially involved in the whole thing is constantly being pushed on Twitter, is based on the meme which is like 19 years old at this stage. Why something like Pepe has 400 million market cap and ORDI, which is a meme coin on BRC20s, has 1.5 billion. And you probably don't know much about this token, and you probably did not hear anything about this token up until you essentially opened this video, which is quite crazy and quite interesting by itself. Maybe there is a reason. Maybe it's something that someone needs that you would not know about this token, not hear anything about this token. So the main issue from my point of view, one of them is because it's a meme token, and at this stage I think in terms of the BRC20s we might be reaching the top of the first wave, so we might see last like blow off top, but upside currently is quite low and opportunity cost is quite high, because here you would put your money into ORDI, it's 1.5 billion market cap at this stage, it might go to 2 billion at max, it's like 30% from here, and if this thing would go to 2 billion at this stage, BRC20s that would just surge like crazy. The reason it has this type of the market cap, and the reason I'm calling this a meme token is because it doesn't do anything, and the main reason for this market cap is because essentially it is the first BRC20 token. So it's the first mover. People were actually minting this token for free, I think back around a year ago. So it's crazy how it went. It was $5 at the start of November, and right now it's $70, so it's 14x, and essentially it was even lower. But yeah, it actually, the lows are $5, but we have a bunch of people that minted this thing for free. They have their own Twitter obviously as well, and there are some memes and news and things like that, but you should not also see like much content in here because it's essentially a meme token. Next one is TRAC. TRAC, you can think like Chainlink on BRC20s. If you don't know what the Chainlink is, it's essentially a technology that is helping to approve smart contracts, whether or not they should be executed based on the real information. So they basically bring information from real world into the blockchain to be able to execute smart contracts based on this information. TRAC is kind of like a Chainlink for BRC20s, and some people also call this token like a mutual fund for BRC20s, because if you want to have exposure to the narrative and you don't know to figure out like how to buy things on Unisat, how to work with the Bitcoin wallet, how to buy these things in chunks like NFTs, how to inscribe them, how to sell them, you can just safely go on something like Gate.io, buy TRAC and just forget about the whole thing. So you would get exposure into this whole thing. It's not only about BRC20s, it's also about DRC20s, which is ordinals on the Dogecoin, and there is like a large field in terms of how this thing works and what are the things that this thing essentially covers. So from this point of view, it's quite interesting by itself. In terms of TRAC, we have very active engineering team as well. They fundraised 4.2 million. They are at around 100 million market cap, although we see a very nice correction recently. So it went from 7.6 to 4.6. So that's somewhere around 40% at this stage, which is crazy by itself. They also have a website and things like that. So it's a very nice from foundational point of view, right? Because with ORDI, what we have, all we have is basically a meme coin. With TRAC, we have technology, we have team, we have 4.2 million fund raised, and essentially this narrative about being the chain link on BRC20s and all the ordinals around BTC. It's also connected in the DeFi in some way, I think, in terms of the sum of the products that it integrates, because they've made a partnership with Ghosty Finance, which is kind of like Uniswap for BRC20s, which is huge by itself as well. I do not hold the position in this token at this stage, but I would want to get some. And the reason I'm waiting is because I think we are still in the first wave. And the other reason is because I've actually put around $30,000 into very, very low caps on BRC20s that just went down 30 to 40 to 50%. At this stage, I'm still waiting. I'm still holding. I'm holding for our next leg up to 48K. So I would be able to exit those positions partially, or exit and then after some time rebalance them into more stable things like TRAC and other things that I'm essentially showing in this video as well. So very, very nice and interesting token by itself. 4.2 million fundraised, team, DeFi and things like that. The main question is, what of these tokens we should hold, flip or dump? The last one is basically .com. One of the great things about this token is obviously the name, the title. And with all the BRC20s, you would see interesting thing that they also consist of 4 symbols. ORDI, TRAC.com. So it's dot at the first place and then it's COM, 3 letters. And they have to basically be and consist of 3 letters, 3 symbols, because this is how essentially these BRC20s work and how the ordinals work as well. So .com, one of the things that are interesting for them is because they're actually trying to essentially be in a lot of things at the same time, and they're projecting, they're saying that like we are here and they are there, we're in that narrative and this narrative, and we are making BRC20 accessible for the public, and we're also in DeFi and you also can stake, and there is a roadmap and there is a super app and automated market maker and things like that. Why I'm bullish about .com, actually instead of TRAC, I do have holdings in .com. I have 9,000 worth of .com at this stage, at this level, in terms of the price 3.64, and it's quite interesting because personally I like TRAC more, but instead of just buying TRAC, I decided to buy other low caps in BRC20s, and .com I was buying quite recently, so that's why it's essentially about 0 in terms of my portfolio currently. So it didn't went up, it didn't go down as well, and it's quite a nice buy because it was also the highest at 7.4 and I actually bought at 3.6. So it's a new token, it's not that old as TRAC. Positive things about BRC20.com is the fact that they also fundraised, I think, 1.2 million at this stage. They also have some funds currently to play around with, although we see that they've raised 3 times less, almost actually 4 times less than TRAC. 3 times. All right. It's not 4 times. It's obviously 3 times. Interesting, very, very interesting thing that we see a difference in terms of BRC20.com and TRAC is that BRC20 is actively being pushed on different exchanges. And there are some nice ones as well, as BitGet, I think XT.com is also nice. So there are definitely larger players behind .com from my understanding, from the things that I heard about the token as well. And they're essentially being pushing this product because you cannot launch on this amount of exchanges in this short amount of time with the connection with the fact that your token just launched recently. So it had crazy volumes in terms of the whole thing as well. So it's quite nice by itself, quite nice with the fact that there are probably large players that have connections in the niche in order to be able to push this token. So it's kind of interesting. We have this TRAC and we have this BRC20.com. It reminds me of the battle of Bitcoin frogs and not monkeys, because Bitcoin frogs is something from the community and not monkeys is something with people with funds behind them, essentially pushing the price of the NFT up and things like that. Bullish thing about this thing is accessibility, user experience. You know that I'm huge on user experience and I'm bullish on projects that actually improve user experience. So they make it easier for new people to enter the market. That's why my largest back is actually Luxa. And at the same time, Bitcoin DeFi. So we had Ethereum DeFi summer back in the last cycle in 2021. I think that Bitcoin DeFi will be picked up largely this summer and probably this autumn. I am positioned already in some stacks related projects, and I do plan to actually increase my exposure in this narrative as well. So you can say that .com is Bitcoin DeFi. You can say that Alex Lab and Arcadica is also Bitcoin DeFi because it's on Stacks, which is layer 2 on Bitcoin, but I'm probably starting to sound too complex at this stage, I think I provided a nice overview about the product already. So we have the main questions: hold, flip, or dump. Let's start with the first one, ORDI. I would dump ORDI at this stage. I would dump ORDI at this stage because I think it surged too much. I think that upside is very, very limited currently. I think we might see larger numbers when we would essentially go up into the bull cycle and things like that. But I think we're just seeing first wave of BRC20s. Maybe the second wave, because the first wave might have been somewhere around May. But in terms of large exposure, I think it is the first wave. So we already see the first wave of BRC20. I think that we should correct heavily on the BRC20s. And I pray that we would see this jump to 48k, where all the BRC20s would jump as well, so I would be able to exit the positions that I actually entered on a bunch of BRC20s low caps, like 3 million, 5 million, 10 million, things like that. So at this stage, I would be dumping ORDI just because of the market cap, because it surged so much, and because of the upside as well. In terms of TRAC, I would be holding TRAC. So I would be holding and DCAing in more into TRAC. And obviously, as you figure out, because we only have 3 options, I would be flipping .com. I would say it's a very, very tough choice at this stage, and it could easily change as well. So you can easily want to hold BRC20.com and want to flip TRAC. It's just this battle in terms of community side of things and in terms of the guys with funds and connections type of things. However, with TRAC, they fundraised 4.2 million. So that's 3.5 more times than BRC20.com essentially fundraised. Therefore, you can actually say that there are even larger guys behind TRAC than the guys behind BRC20.com. But I will be holding TRAC. I would be looking to DCA into TRAC as well. I would be looking to decrease my positions in the riskier BRC20 plays that I have and increase my exposure to TRAC, because I think it's just a safer bet. And I would be looking to accumulate from $50,000 to $100,000 into TRAC around the, I would say, middle of summer 2024. That's essentially the goal that I have from my end. BRC20.com. So we have this defined narrative. I think this thing might actually pump in the upcoming surge to 48k if we would see it in terms of the whole market surging up. An interesting thing with BRC20.com is because, and with all BRC20s, is because they kind of search as hedge against Bitcoin. If you don't want to have any Bitcoin, you previously did not have the option. You maybe were able to buy Ethereum, but it's still a different ecosystem, it's still a different token. And currently you can actually get into BRC20s, you can buy some of the NFTs, and this way you can get a BTC based hedge against Bitcoin. And all of these tokens, BRC20s, they will most likely outperform BTC as well, not depending on how much you do, it would essentially pump. So in terms of the BRC20.com, I would flip, but I would be looking to flip once we would be able to see these numbers, and I think even more. I think we might be reaching $10 if we would essentially see this larger surge to 48k and then alt season for 2 months till the halving. I think we should see a dump around halving, because it's a usual thing. Like miners, they would understand that the fees that they're getting, they're becoming 2 times lower in terms of the commissions for them working on the transactions in the blockchain of BTC. So it's a usual thing that before halving, they're essentially dumping some of the BTC because they understand that their earnings would decrease 2 times, which is huge for any business. Like imagine you are running the business, you have cash flow, and at a certain point of time, your cash flow just decreasing in 2 times. So it's just crazy from that point of view. So I think we might be able to see BRC20.com at $7. So it's 2x from here, ideally at $10 at 3x. So I would be looking to flip this token, and whole time that would provide for these type of things to happen is 2 to 3 months. However, at the same time, if we would see a correction, I would probably like to have a bit of the BRC20.com in my portfolio as well, just to make sure that I would have exposure to this token by the end of 2024, 2025. It's just not that strong in my comparison to as TRAC. However, it's already on the larger amount of exchanges. So people that do not want to figure out things about BRC20s, it's just easier for them to buy BRC20.com and get exposure. Plus, the name is quite nice because we all had this like .com bubble and things like that. So it's something that rhymes with people as well. So to finalize the whole thing, I would dump ORDI, I would hold TRAC, and I would flip BRC20.com. Let me know what you will do in the comments. If you agree or if you don't agree, I would be very, very interested to check out what you have to say in the comments. And I would respond to your comment as well, because I'm responding to each and every comment. If you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me to provide you with the more content and more alpha as well. Thank you and see you in the next one. Bye bye.